Shalom, giving all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh, Bahashum, Yahweh Shai, Bahashum, Arachakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the tabernacle of David, the four elect, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. Now, between the opening Olympic ceremony and the Super Bowl, which all have been simultaneously performed. A lot of people are, distracted, and watching these events, not keeping up with a lot of the plotted agendas that the elites are coming with. We all know that, these type of events are meant to be, big spectacles, to divert attention. And, once you tuned in, they get to show you, by the sleight of hand, all the occultic symbolism. They get to show you their hidden agendas in plain sight. A lot of predictive programming, mind programming. And it's all one big ritual, as we all know. And as it is written, Paul wrote it in his epistle, to put on the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities. That's dealing with the hierarchy of spirits. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, which are the rulers, the authorities of the earth. The super rich elite. These governments that are controlled by the elite. These secret societies and cults of Satan worship, and they're the ones who govern and rule this current world. So this is what we up against, the rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places, and everything around us, it's controlled by the evil one, Satan. So we have to know, and like the scriptures say also, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. All right, so a lot of these people were, tuned in. Well, I'll say for the Super Bowl, you got a lot of Edomites that they basically tuned out, when it came to the halftime show, because they knew what that was all about. Using that sodomite Bad Bunny, very popular amongst the Northern Kingdom, and they had him perform, and Trump came out and gave a long ass complaint about the halftime show. He said it sucked. It was a bad representation of America. But we know that he just didn't like the message and the symbolism. Having a Northern Kingdom guy, perform, his catalog, and performing and speaking in Spanish and all that, knowing that he's trying to get rid of, a lot of the Northern Kingdom out of the country. But this was all designed to, keep the people distracted and also enchanted at the same time. Okay, so I'm gonna play this real quick. This woman, she's actually going in, that these sports events are really, they're branded as entertainment, but it's really just a spectacle to get everybody glued in so that they can be enchanted by the spells and shown these hidden symbolisms, the predictive programming, where they have to basically put it in your face what they're going to prepare to do, and all you can do is either use discernment and be able to know exactly what the enemy is doing, or you're just gonna be oblivious because you don't have the ice off. All right, and it's, the spirit has it. Here in Vegas, our camp, we go out on Sundays. So every year, we can't even tune in anyway. Like we don't watch it. We don't get to catch anything because we out, teaching. All right, and you seeing the people, they're spaced out. Everybody's quick to get into a bar so that they can catch the game and be entertained while they just bypass the prophets of the Lord. And hey, that's cool. All right, and these people, they're gonna see it. When all hell breaks loose, they're gonna know that prophets have been among them. All right, but anyway, let me play some of this video so y'all can listen. She's gonna actually go in. Let me press play.
Hey, I'm here to remind you, the Super Bowl is a ritual. It's not a game. It's not just a concert. It's a mass initiation event. And they dress it up in sparkly glitter suits, jerseys. Oh, and then they even have you guys betting on it. Good God, can you imagine truly the numbers of what this week?
Yeah, betting on a rigged event. All this shit is rigged. I think all form of sports and entertainment is rigged to a certain degree because it's a performance. Okay, and where, as the saying goes, the world is a stage, and we're merely the players. The world is a stage. These people can't get it through their heads because they're desperate for entertainment. They just want to consume, things that's going to divert their attention away from reality. All right, because when you're not distracted and you see what's going on, man, you the scriptures say there's a forgetfulness of affliction in a day of prosperity, and in a day of prosperity there's a forgetfulness of affliction. And when people are afflicted, that's when people they become restless. You could see the tension. People's emotions are heightened. It is, so people don't want to be faced with the true reality that their especially here in Babylon, this country is going down the drain. Just the quality, the overall quality of this country. It's in the toilet, man. All right. And nothing that anyone can do can, restore the feeling. As it is written, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Take balm for her pain. All right. For we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Let every man forsake her and go to their own country. Trillions of dollars in debt. Inflation still kicking everybody in the ass. It's nothing but division here. You got ICE, what I'm saying, oppressing the people. It's a lot going on. Traffic rings everywhere, missing children. But you're going to ignore all that for the sake of entertainment. And that's how you know this is Babylon, because Babylon is all about pleasure, indulgence, luxury. Folly is set in great dignity here. But let's continue.
Weekend is just line the pockets of the pedophile ring, guys. Good job. First, they gather everyone.
If she said the P word, well, I'm not monetized, so I ain't even tripping. All right, but it's facts.
The masses, the families, the divided, and suddenly we're unified in front of a single screen. And then the ritual begins. You're shown this generation's warriors, colors, and chants, and you choose a side.
Yep. It's all right in your face. Let me get this in Isaiah, and then we're going to come right back. Isaiah 47 and 11. Let me select your 12. And it says, stand now with thine enchantments, your spells, right? This is all witchcraft. It says, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, when thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. And that's talking about the evils that the Lord's going to bring to this place. All these different mischiefs that shall fall upon this place, and they ain't going to be able to do nothing about it. And all their, wizards and witches and warlocks, their scientists, all their wise men on the left hand, they're not going to be able to do anything. They're going to have no answer for what the Lord's getting ready to do. But the people, they're constantly under these enchantments, through these different ritual ceremonies, because that's what these events are all about. From the Grammys, all right, you just had the Grammys, then you had the opening Olympics ceremony, which had a satanic symbolism in that. And then, of course, you had the Super Bowl, all right? So they got all you people concentrated and watching these things.
Scream and you drink, which also allows spirits into your body. You bet. It's a blood sport dressed up as fun. And the symbolism is literally ancient. Fields as battlegrounds, crowds as worshipers.
And that goes back to ancient Rome, bread and circus. All right, and what did they do when they were indulged in these things? They were filled with riot. Was that Romans? Let me get Romans 13. And this is just a warning to the believers. It's Romans 13 and 11 in the NLT. It says, this is all the more urgent, for you know how late it is. Time is running out. Wake up, for our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is almost gone. The day of salvation will soon be here. So remove your dark deeds like dirty clothes and put on a shining armor of right living. Because we belong to the day we must not live. It's like we must live decent lives for all to see. Don't participate in the darkness of wild parties and drunkenness. And that you had all that last night. Whether at the bar or people at their homes. Got loud music playing. They got, food, a bunch of wings and hot dogs and burgers, a bunch of beer, alcohol. That's what they were doing. And engaging in idolatry, because they worship these damn football teams. These fanatics with their jerseys and their flags and memorabilia. It's all a form of idolatry. So it says, or in sexual promiscuity, in immoral living, or in quarreling and jealousy. The fans getting into fights, brawls, over their team. It's insane, man. We see this time in and time out every year. We looked at camp, we looked up the word fanatic. And the word fanatic literally means a mad person, somebody that's insane. And that's what these fanatics are. You fighting over these athletes, and these athletes, if you've seen that movie Him with Marlon Wayans, they show you how it goes down. A lot of these athletes, they got to go through their rituals. They got to do wickedness just like the rappers and singers and actors do to become successful. They got to be up under oath. So these are people you're worshiping and pedestalizing, and these are not good people. And they're slaves, they're just high paid slaves at the end of the day. All right. They're owned completely. But you not understanding that because you're walking in darkness. It says, instead, clothe yourself with the presence of the Lord, Yahushua Mashiach, and don't let yourself think about ways to indulge your evil desires. And that's what they do on these type of nights.
Commercial.
Hold on, let me back it up.
It's a blood sport dressed up as fun. And the symbolism is literally ancient. Fields as battlegrounds, crowds as worshipers, and commercials as programming. But the main spell isn't even the game.
Yeah, that's just the bait. You know, while you in there with, you know, you got liquid spirits already in you, and you just, you know, you just zoned in, you know. Now let me do this real quick. Let me go back to, let me go to the KJV. And it says, let us, verse 13, let us walk honestly as in a day, not in rioting and drunkenness. And this is back in ancient Rome. Okay. The ancient Roman Empire. This is what they did. You look up the word rioting. The word is gomas. And it says a carousal as if letting loose, reveling, rioting. And then it says here a revel, carousal, a nocturnal and riotous procession of half-drunken and frolicsome fellows who after supper parade through the streets with torches and music in honor of Bacchus or some other deity. You know, that was, you know, a Roman deity. And in Greece, that same deity was Dionysus, which were Olympic or Olympian deities, right? And so in one shape or form, you're actually celebrating these Greek and Roman gods, you know, participating in this stuff. Okay. It says, and sing and play before houses of male and female friends, hence used generally of feast and drinking parties that are protracted till late at night and indulge in revelry. So this is what they were doing. And as long as you partake in that, you're in darkness. All right. And that's why, you know, going back to Ephesians, the 6th chapter, you know, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. So they make sure everything around you is you know, it's meant to keep you in darkness. You know, their light is pretty much darkness. Okay.
It's the halftime show. And I'm seeing people in my comments being like, I'm not there for the football, I'm there for Bad Bunny. You think that man is not a part of the same Luciferian cult? Come on. When the field becomes the stage, the lights cut through the dark, the stars descend from the sky, and the crowd is now wide open, and it receives the download. The symbolism, the performances, the allegiances to power, ritual gestures, masked as choreography. You guys have been seeing it for years, and now all of a sudden, because you want to participate, you pretend that it's not there. You know it's there. And then you clap and you cheer, and it's just a show. Meanwhile, this is one of the biggest human trafficking weekends of the year. Go down those rabbit holes. The amount of trafficking that happens in NFL games.
Yeah. You know, and we're at the time right now, man, where, you know, wickedness is at its limit. You know, and everything, like the quality of the earth is at its lowest form. You know, Bad Bunny being able to perform on that type of stage, it just shows you, man. Scriptures say that the daughters of music shall be brought low. You compare, back to decades ago when you had the likes of, Prince and Michael Jackson, all type of real performers. They gave you a real entertaining show, but now it's straight up trash. The only thing I will say, because everything has significance to it. You can take certain things spiritual, but between last year and this year, last year they had the nigga Kendrick Lamar perform. A lot of people trashed that. It was like, yeah, that shit was trash. Then they had Bad Bunny come and he did his performance, and a lot of people saying that's trash. What I'll take from that is you had Kendrick, he represented the Southern Kingdom. He represented Judah. And then they had Bad Bunny the next year, right? And he represents the Northern Kingdom. He's so-called Puerto Rican. And so that tells me, well, at least spiritually, the significance of it, you can see that Judah and Israel are being represented, even though they don't, Jake and the world may not see it that way. But I think back to the prophecy in Jeremiah 50, where it talks about how Judah and Israel will be oppressed together, because some of the symbolism, we don't know if it's in protest secretly or whatnot. But with this ICE thing going on, and then they would happen to have Bad Bunny, who's a Northern Kingdomer, perform. And then after his performance, he wiped out his whole Instagram. Like they're gonna try to come for him or something. But I thought that was kind of significant as well. Judah being represented last year, and then Ephraim being, or the northern tribes being represented this year. All right. So eventually we know that the Most High, he said in prophecy that he's going to take the bow of Judah and fill it with Ephraim. And he's going to basically shoot it against the sons of Greece, which represents the Edomite. Let's see, I forget what scripture it is. Let me just type it in. Yeah, Zechariah 9, there we go. Zechariah 9:13, it says, when I have bent Judah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, and made thee as a sword of a mighty man. All right. And we know that Esau, he took, and conquered the land of Japhet, who were the original Greeks. All right, going back to Yawan. But Esau, took the land and made it his, and he became the Greek, starting with the Macedonian Empire. All right. So the Lord's gonna, we know that the Lord's gonna put that spirit on Jake to finally start rising up against Esau, because he's mainly the one oppressing Judah and Israel. So I thought that was spiritual too. Judah last year, Ephraim this year. And Esau, he's being very agitated to see, for two years in a row that, Jake is taking up the attention, on this world stage, so to speak. And they're starting to feel like how the Egyptians felt when Israel was multiplying. And they said we got to deal with them wisely, lest they, wax mighty, and it be more of them than more of us. And so that's why Esau is in that spirit of, they want to get rid of, Jake in the country. They want to, try to start race wars. You know, some of them are joining ICE just so that they can abuse their authority. But ultimately, Esau is just afraid that, they're being outnumbered in their own country. Exodus 2 and let me try to find it. It might be in the second, it's like in the first chapter. Yeah, this is it. Exodus 1 and 8, it says, "Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. Come on and let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land." So because of that, they put more hell on Jacob. All right. So I can see it, nothing new under the sun. So Esau's going to find ways to, further oppress us, put hell on us, or also to get rid of a lot of us. So that whole ICE operation is really to reduce the population of, Jake, because they're not just going after Venezuelans and so-called Mexicans. They even going after Haitians too. And they even try to lump Judah in there, because they're purposely not trying to distinguish us. So, trouble is upon Jacob. So Jake need to wake up, but they're too distracted with all his entertainment. See? And all these people, these entertainers, they're of this world. And the Most High is not in awe at their greatness at all. All right. So Jake got to wake the hell up, man. Stop being distracted.
Your attention is hijacked, your energy is harvested, and it's a spell. And it's a spell that you pay to be a part of. But now we know what, in black and white facts, who and what these people are. So are you still going to cheer? Or are you finally going to wake up and see it?
Hey, now it's high time to awake out of sleep. And these, those that are awoken, these enchantments are not going to work. Okay. And, like the scriptures say also in Thessalonians, let me get it. In 1 Thessalonians 5 and I'll start at 1. It says, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night." It's going to be just, sudden calamities that's just going to start piling up. And these people they're not going to see it coming, even though they've been constantly warned. The prophets have been out there. The elites have been showing you what they're going to do. But everything these people take is just for amusement purposes, entertainment. It's just for when they shall say peace and safety. They want to unify everybody and, have all these celebrations and, entertainment events. These leaders of these countries, they keep having all these deals and negotiations, acting like they're trying to broker some type of peace. But all that's going to unravel is more conflict, leading to war. All right, Iran and Trump, they ain't reached no deal. And Trump has been making threats about if they don't reach a deal that, it's a reason why they tried to send the USS Abraham Lincoln over there to intimidate those Iranians. And those Iranians, they wasn't backing down. So we know that there ain't going to be no peace or safety. All right. While the WHO is preparing for another PL endemic. All right. So that they can have you under another lockdown, afraid for your life, to get you to give your body over to them once again. It says, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. You are the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others. And all of our people, they still sleep. Even the ones that call themselves woke are sleep. You know, because they don't understand. They don't know what's going on. All right. It says, but let us watch and be sober. And that's what our job is. We're supposed to watch. And the scriptures tell us to be sober and vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. So we got to be alert at all times. It says, for they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that be drunken are drunken in the night. And that's what they was doing all night last night. All right. The hell with some damn Seahawks. The hell with some damn Patriots, man. Okay. So I'm going to end on that note. And hopefully I will edify them and give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.